House rules. Each speaker has 5 minutes. The first and last minutes are protected. The judge will ring a bell to signal the protected time. The bell will ring continuously after 5 minutes.
Well, thank you so much. The panel of judges and the two antagonistic sides, I greet you all. I'm called Moizi Joel, and I'm the first farmer from Team Ntare, presenting today's resolution that states, this House believes that antimicrobial resistance is a matter of biology and medicine rather than society and behavior. I'd like to make it clear and make sure I note down and clarify the key points or the key terms to describe in this resolution. Most importantly is the antimicrobial resistance. This is the ability of microbes, particularly bacteria specifically, to develop resistance to drugs designed to kill them. In our today's resolution, we're going to make it easy and term this antimicrobial resistance as AMR for their communication to be effective. So, we as team affirmatives, we look up to this point as there is no fire that ignites without a spark. So in today's resolution, we're here to narrow it down to the most important issue, whereby you look up to the gene of bacteria that is going to be treated and the kind of antibiotics to be used to combat that particular bacteria, being the genesis of the whole issue of today's resolution. We come as presenting the parameters of today's resolution as modern medicines. The reason for this is because modern medicines, for they have a target that is specific. This is to make clear that in today's resolution, we're going to only look up to modern medicines. What are arguments in today's resolution? Our first argument is biological basis of the bacteria. It occurs when microbes adopt and evolve in response to the selective pressure of antibiotics. This is all because of the microbe's genetic makeup. What are you looking up to? Look up to these bacteria that are going to be handled or to be treated. They have a certain genetic base whereby if they are not well treated, they develop a defensive mechanism whereby they cannot be treated furthermore just because the kind of treatment that was given to them rather was not effective. I'll take that later after specifying my kind of statistics. This is from the World Health Organization report that was presented on 31st July 2020 that states, when you use antibiotics, some bacteria can die, but resistant bacteria survive and even multiply. This is overdose of antibiotic. The overdose of antibiotics makes bacteria more common. What are we trying to show in this case? We're trying to show that there are certain bacteria specifically which cannot die. And a few that do die, there is also another chance that these ones that did not die, the antibiotics, if the same are they are placed onto to solve the problem of bacteria, then there is no solution. They still survive, mutate, and they develop a defensive mechanism whereby they are not to be taken up. My second argument in today's resolution is medical practices. The misuse or overuse of antibiotics in hospitals, which is primarily a medical issue, contributes significantly to the development of AMR. What are we trying to say in today's resolution? This argument clearly shows that these sessions whereby a person is given medicines and then takes this overdose. That is one point. Secondly, there is also misuse. This person comes upon this issue and then takes these antibiotics, and due to the high content that has been taken up, this person cannot be solved, or the problem that is of concerning the diseases, especially bacteria, cannot be solved. When we talk about bacteria, we look up to diseases like TB. We also look up to diseases like cough, majorly like whooping cough, and we look up to antibiotics such as amoxicillin. This is one of the drugs that has been used to solve chest infections, pessines for the throat, and septrin. I remain Moizi Joe. I'd like to close my case. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ariaka Walter from Kyambogo College School. This house believes that antimicrobial resistance is a matter of biology and medicine rather than society and behavior. I agree with the parameter, but of course to modern medicine. However, I don't agree with the objectification and the narrowing of this subject only to bacteria, owing to the fact that this thing is supposed to be broad, affecting, bringing in and capturing viruses, fungi, and parasites. We cannot talk of bacteria alone. So for that case, our debate is going to major on all viruses and also parasites. In the very first place, I would like to also disagree that when we speak about genetic base, as Honorable Joel from the affirmative side did, we cannot tag this to biology alone. Genetics with medicine have a lot to do with society, as we're going to show you. And now, we're also going to look at medical practices. On their own point of view, they said people overdose, people misuse drugs. But the people who overdose are people who don't have information on how these drugs should be taken. That is a behavioral issue. When they speak of misuse of drugs, that is also a lack of information issue. If I don't have information on how a certain drug has to be taken in, then I'm going to misuse it. For example, I can use antiretrovirals to fatten my pigs, like we shall show later on. Now we're telling you as Team Negative that no, this thing is a societal and behavioral issue, because just like Team Affirmative introduced it to us, there is a lot of self-medication right now. And when there is self-medication, there is lack of self-expertise on how this thing goes. Team Affirmative is going to explain to you the details of the outlines I'm giving below. We're also going to tell you that poor feeding habits can cause people to become resilient to certain treatments. We shall prove to you that there are fake drugs on the market, and these drugs cannot treat the diseases for which they are intended. We're also going to show you how misleading information is circulating both in this pyramid of Uganda and out there. But most importantly, like Affirmative pointed it out, I'll take it later, like Affirmative pointed it out, we're going to show how unqualified personnel are running pharmacies, drug shops, and medical stores out there. Now, let us look at this in the context of herbal medicine to start with. And besides, now let's start with drug abuse before we go to herbal medicine.
Honorable.
I'll take one, Ansha.
Are you trying to say that even with the right prescription, there is no resistance?
We shall get to that. They told us that they told us that the medicines which are going to cause the resistances do exist. They didn't tell us which medicine, and they did not tell us whether all the percentage, 100%, are affected. Now we are going to inform you with statistics from National Drug Authority that 10% of the medicine in Ugandan market right now is fake. How do we expect people who are genuinely sick to adhere to genuinely fake medicine? You see, we are speaking of things like herbal medicine. People are self-medicating out there. How do we expect to bring them to hospitals and say this is a biological issue? So for us, we think we're coming in as National Drug Authority. Let's create awareness. Let's put in monitoring and evaluation. And we deal with pharmaceutical issues by, one, making sure that the village health teams do monitoring. They have established how many people attain and access health services. Because if there is no information, the information which is misleading out there is what people are going to go by, and it is not going to help save Ugandans. And then lastly, since my time is up, we are also going to prove to you that poverty is a cross-cutting thing. And because people are poor, people are resorting to methods which cannot be administered by professional medics. Thank you.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.